Let's get to the business news now with Giles Beckford, who is in our Wellington studio. Giles, ACC bills are arriving, and for some folk, they're pretty weighty, are they?
They could well be. There might be a bit of a shock because ACC actually hasn't sent out a bill for the past year or so. They were changing their system from where they assess levies from forecast earnings to actual earnings. And then the pandemic got in the way, and so they delayed sending out the bills as well. They're now starting to come into people's mailboxes, and you've got some considerable bills there. It will be a bit of a shock. So, it's a warning. Don't be surprised when your ACC bill turns up. This is, of course, for self-employed people. And for some people, it might be a bit of a shock also in what they have to pay and what they're being assessed on. And the circumstances are that if you change your jobs, or you have changed your jobs, and it may be that, for instance, you're a studio-bound business editor working for a radio company, self-employed, and then all of a sudden you have a hankering to become a building contractor and you take up an apprenticeship. ACC will now assess you at the riskiest job that you have. In other words, they'll assess you at the risk of being a building contractor, which one figures is probably a bit more dangerous than being a business editor. And so from that point of view, it will be a bit of a shock when you find that your final assessment, or what you have to pay, is actually assessed at that more dangerous occupation. So a warning there to folk. The financial services company Henry, which helps people file their ACC levies, claims and statements, saying the system needs to be changed. It needs to be able to take account of when people change their types of work, rather than just being actually hit by the most dangerous one, even though they might actually only, say, do 2 or 3 months in that year. But just be warned, forewarned, forearmed.
And Giles, Mainfreight, the trucking company that keeps on trucking, what news do you bring of them?
Well, anybody who has shares in their KiwiSaver investment somewhere along the line will surely be a part owner of Mainfreight. It is a company which just goes from strength to strength. Just when we thought that the pandemic would have knocked the stuffing out of a lot of transport links, supply chains are being disrupted, Mainfreight says we're actually doing very nicely. We're seeing an increase in revenue, up around 9%. They're forecasting that their first half profit could be up, this is their operating profit, I should say, could be up by as much as a quarter. From that point of view, this is a company which doesn't just truck, it doesn't take just your parcels from A to B. It's also getting significantly into warehousing. So companies who have got a lot of stock are actually leaving it with Mainfreight to look after for them, and then they pick it up and it gets transported to where they want it, which means that Mainfreight, of course, is looking to build more warehouses and is looking for more land. So a significant part for them. Australia and Asia doing well for them, a bit more subdued in the US and Europe, and New Zealand ticking over quite nicely. But that's one reason why the company is up 6%. The shares are up 6% today, cracking through the $51 level.
And what about the rest of the market, Giles?
Well, I thought that finally that we would see a bit of the froth blown off the investment pint this morning. It was looking a bit on the soft side. But no, it's come back with, I won't say a hiss and a roar, but come back solidly this afternoon. Top 50 up 90 points. That's about 0.75%, going through that 12,500 level for the top 50. As for the currency, 66.6 US cents and 92.9 Australian.
Thanks, Giles. That's Giles Beckford joining us from our Wellington studio with business news.